welcome to the Metaphysical Frontier Summit with my guest today, Josh, the Note Troll Maitland. Josh is a consciousness researcher, a consultant, an educator, certified intuition teacher, remote viewer, and expert in the concept of flow, with a multidimensional background in water resource engineering and music production of 20 years. He's the founder of Rockstar Intuition and a performing artist with writing credits on 10 albums across 5 bands. A master of both logical and creative thinking, Josh has spent his life at the intersection of scientific and spiritual. He uses his unique perspective to educate and inspire audiences with truths about the nature of reality and how intuition can be harnessed and transformed into our daily lives. How did you get started in this spiritual realm? And yeah, where did the journey begin? When? How?
Well, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school, and around grade seven, they had this thing, the rite of confirmation, where you had to decide whether or not you would stick it out. And to me, that felt like a soul contract of some kind, and I wasn't really in a place where I felt like I wanted to make that decision. And I was the only kid in the whole school who said no to that. And from then I kind of started, in high school, I started reading books about, past life regressions and meditation and out of body experiences and stuff like that. I managed to actually try astral projection a couple of times successfully, and it kind of freaked me out. And so I kind of got away from it a little bit for a while after that. But then I found music, rock and roll, and I started a band. And that was kind of, Lemmy from Motorhead has a really great quote, which is, "Rock and roll is the only religion that never lets you down." And that really resonated for me at that time. So, I went kind of full into that for quite a while. And yeah, I got into recording and production in high school, just with like super limited equipment. We did this album that, I listen back to it now and it just sounds just horribly horribly bad from a sound quality audio engineering perspective, but the songs were so much fun, and it was a great learning experience. But after that, I went to university, and I've always been a very environmentally conscious person. I've always been felt a deep connection with the planet and with nature. And I grew up watching Captain Planet and the Smoggies and
Yeah.
things like that, which were very radicalizing for kids, I guess, towards protecting Mother Nature. And I had some teachers, some great teachers, who said, water is going to be the most important thing in the future, and they kind of guided me towards this career in water resource engineering. So yeah, after university, I got into that, and it's been a journey ever since. So the music kind of stayed as a thread through all of it. And I've been in a band since I was 16 years old. I'm 40 now, one band or another, sometimes a few at a time. And somewhere around 2020, when COVID hit, I was spending a lot of time at my desk in the basement with not much to do, and I came across a documentary called Third Eye Spies, which is about the remote viewing program that the U.S. government had back in the 70s through 90s. And it was straight from the horse's mouth. It was the scientists who were there that were on camera giving these interviews. And as an engineer, it was fascinating to me that these scientists were studying this stuff and getting really accurate, crazy results in their attempts at non-local perception. And that program ran for 20 years, and they saved lives with remote viewing, and they found downed airplanes, and all kinds of crazy stuff. They rescued hostages using remote viewing data. And anyways, I was just completely fascinated by that. I had heard of remote viewing back in high school when I had been doing all my kind of research into meditation. But at that time, I think, this was before Amazon even existed, so I couldn't find any books on it at my library or anything like that. So I just kind of let it fall to the wayside for a while. But yeah, during COVID, when I came across this remote viewing documentary, it just completely blew my mind. And as the credits rolled at the end of the movie, I heard this voice in my head say, "Google remote viewing Udemy," and it's like clear as day, clear as a bell. And I'd never had anything really like that happen before. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna follow that. And the odd thing was that it was actually my voice that I heard, and I didn't say it out loud, but it sounded as if I had. Anyway,
Mhm.
cool
Mhm.
experience. So sure enough, I found a course that was, $25 or something, and I was like, okay, let's give it a go, because I had to try for myself. I was completely like blown away by the fact that this was even a possibility. And what I found was that, pretty quickly, I realized I had a knack for it, and it came to me pretty easily. And
Mhm.
I do think that's because of, all my experience with creativity and music production, tweaking frequencies and kind of feeling intuitively how, how music feels and whether a song feels right. That's always been my gauge as a producer is does this mix feel good,
Mhm.
and is it going to feel good for other people
Mhm.
when they listen to it. So I think having that and plus the background in meditation kind of came together in a nice way and gave me a bit of an edge when I started. And I ended up kind of diving, jumping in with both feet, so to speak, and just completely, running session after session after session for weeks and weeks and months. And I think we ended up meeting about 6 months into that journey.
Mhm.
And when I had started doing kind of global news predictions and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So I still do those a little bit, not so much anymore because the news has been a little bit gnarly in the last year and a half. But I'll still break them out from time to time, just because it's an interesting process to try and connect to the future
Yeah.
and feel what's coming, Um,
Mhm.
and then I think there is a benefit to it in the sense that when you kind of feel those emotions before the event happens, then if it does come to transpire, you're kind of ready for it in a way,
Mhm.
at least on that emotional level. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of the journey so far. And then in 2023, I went and got certified as an intuition teacher, which kind of tied the room together as far as, diving into the science behind all of this stuff and the how and the why of this stuff and grounding and heart brain coherence and all this kind of interesting research that's been done to sort of show how it all works and how it all comes together.
Wow. This is awesome and interesting and fascinating. And I have to add something to all of this, Josh,
Yeah, for sure.
because you don't know this yet. The people that you're talking about, the original Stargate people and the people in Lance Munge's film are
Hmm.
part of our summit. So you're
Oh, no
going
way.
to get, yeah, big way. So people who are viewing this, and perhaps you're just seeing, if you're only tapping into Josh's interview right now, just know that the legends that Josh has just mentioned will be in the summit, and you get to hear right out of their mouths. These are legends. These are absolute legends in the industry. So we're very honored to have them to be with us on the summit. So Josh, you're going to get to meet them. So it's
That's great.
not just
Oh,
TV people anymore.
glad to be an opening act. That's solid.
Anyway, let's get back to you.
For sure.
Um, I wanted to just share with the audience. I was on we were on a okay, people who know me know that I'm also psychic. So this is not about me, right? What I saw when I was doing the the work with Daz. I was on his show that day to talk about children with intuition.
Mhm.
And I noticed you and I noticed your drawing and it just registered with me. And like those voices, those intuitive things. I said, this guy's got something. This guy's got something. I mean, yes, many, many other remote viewers have, but there was something that just like this guy's got something, and yet I don't know if this guy knows. And I call you this guy because I didn't know your name. I don't know if this guy knows what he's got. All right. And then I don't know. I did some digging to find out who you were. Okay. Otherwise, and then the rest is history. Then I connected with you and you were on this incredible journey. And can you tell a little bit about the work that you're doing now? Because you've really created you have your music career and now you've really created an alternate career and path for yourself also. So can you share a little bit about your remote viewing teachings right now? Are you
Yeah, for
okay
sure.
with that? Mm-hmm.
So the way I look at remote viewing, now having done it for a bunch of years, is as sort of a tool for strength training of the soul, I would say. Um, just the way it seems to work is that, it just creates all these synchronicities in your life, and the more you do it, the more your kind of baseline level of intuitiveness, of psychicness tends to grow. So the way that I did it, was I just did sessions every day, and that might be a little much for people who are starting. So for my students, I recommend, maybe doing about 3 sessions a week. So not dissimilar to like a physical workout program. If you can get your 3 days in a week, you're gonna be making good gains. So that's really how I see it. I mean, it's got, it's useful in the sense that you can use it to uh, find information, right? You can use it to get specific information about specific targets or topics or whatever it is you're going after. But I think that's kind of a secondary thing for me at this point. It's really, the benefit that I see to it is that it's this phenomenal personal growth tool. And when you dive into it and you give it a chance, it'll surprise you. Like it still surprises me all these years later. It's like I'll run a session on, the news, and I'll get something that's, gnarly war stuff, and I'll say, okay, give me something else. And then I'll get all this interesting, weird stuff about animals in cages or something. And then 3 days later, I come home and my wife has a mouse in a cage on the porch with, and in the session I got a volcano. I'm like, why is this volcano in a box? This doesn't make any sense. And then, sure enough, there's this little mouse with a volcano in a fish aquarium on my porch. It's like, oh, okay, that's what it was. So I took some pictures of that and lined it up with my remote viewing data. I was like, oh, how about that? So it really has, especially when you do those kind of open targets and you just let the process kind of do its thing, rather than trying to do, a specific, like, oh, let's see what happens to the stock market tomorrow or that kind of stuff, which you can do. But
Mhm.
I love open targets like that because it does leave some room for interpretation, and it leaves room for the universe to work its magic and show you something that's very personal and meaningful to you. I think that's kind of the main benefit. It's this personal growth tool that has the side effect of, being, useful for data collection at the same time.
Yeah. And you also created an online course for people too now to teach them
I did.
to do how to remote view. Can you share a little bit about your course?
Yeah, so the Rockstar Intuition course, it is, I think there's about 4 hours of video lectures and things, and it basically teaches you the whole process of remote viewing. There's 5 different stages to it. You start with an ideogram to connect, which is where you kind of draw a little squiggle on the page, and I look at that as sort of your connection to the quantum internet, and where you, make that intention to use your body to pull that information down onto your page. And so you've got this little squiggle, automatic writing, automatic drawing, whatever you want to call it on your page, and you can sort of unpack that like a zip file almost from your download. And then you go into sensory information, and then from your sensory information, you draw some sketches, and then from your sketches, you pick, maybe three elements and go through each of them in that same process and break it into a matrix and analyze, the different emotions that you feel at the site, the different emotions that the site makes you feel, and of course, the tangible, intangible things, and if stuff that it reminds you of, which is called analytical overlay. So I won't get into all that today, but it's so I teach you that whole process, and then I have this series of targets that I've set up. There was 10 targets. It's probably, by the time this goes out, it'll be up to 16, and it's or maybe 20. I think I've got 20 now. And so it's a training program that you can do over the course of a month, a little bit every day, and just sort of build your intuition up. And from start to finish, people are really noticing. Even in the first couple of days, I've got a student I was talking to yesterday, and there's this image that I made with AI in one of the lessons. Like I've got all kinds of cool stuff like binaural beats in there for people to use to kind of get in the zone. And so it was in that lesson I had this picture of this glowing white tree, and she said that she'd just ordered a journal on Amazon that had an image almost exactly like that AI generated one in the course. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's really cool to hear from students all these little synchronicities that they have as they're working through it, which makes me feel good because it makes me feel like I'm not crazy because I had all
Yeah.
those kind of feelings of synchronicity when I was doing it. So it's really it makes me feel good to see that experience, that ability to help people connect with that greater unseen field of energy and information is a repeatable thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the gist of it is, you take the course, and by the end of it, you should be a much more intuitive person,
Yeah.
and it really is meant to start people on the path and to understanding not only how all this stuff works. I have a bunch of modules about the science of intuition and how meditation and remote viewing are similar and things like that. But it's meant to sort of give you some tools to move forward as well. So even when you're done the course, you've got what you need to keep growing and improving your intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I had a little fun. I just want to share a little story. A few weeks ago, you put out in your newsletter an activity to do for people, whether they've remote viewed or not. And you gave the instructions about creating the little ideogram and then just go with what you see and draw some pictures. And then you did yours and you went out on a walk and you saw the things that you had drawn. And I
Yeah.
remember sharing with you, so I'm going to do this too. So I shared it with my newsletter after I did it myself. And so it was a Saturday morning, and I sat down. I said, I'm going to do what Josh did today, and I'm going to go have some fun, and I'm going to remote view what I see. And totally, and then I drew some trees with these gates, like these things just sticking out in front of them. I was like, I don't know what that is. And I drew a couple. I drew a man and a woman, and then I drew these trees, a line of trees with these things right in front of it. And I completely forgot, and I went about my business. And then on the way home, as I'm driving, what do I see? A man and woman standing at the corner, and the trees have protective wiring all around them, all of that. So those lines that I was drawing were the protective wiring on
Yeah.
all the trees. And then I recognized it. I said, oh, wow, this is my remote view that I did with Josh's activity. Oh, I'm so happy today.
It's so cool when it comes through, right? Like it's such a wild experience. I remember I did the same. Yeah, it was I got this guy who looked really like frustrated or like, stressed out, and he was my little ideogram had been this kind of face of a person in a box. And so I was like, okay, well that's weird. And but I got a really strong visual, of this guy. He was older. He kind of looked like Graham Hancock, and he was, kind of uh, poofy hair a little bit and little round glasses. And sure enough, about 5 minutes into my walk, I see this boxy gray van pulled over on the side of the road, and he's been pulled over by a cop. And the guy inside looked exactly like the dude I drew, and he was probably pretty stressed out by the situation. So anyway, yeah, it's wild. So I mean, you can do that. You can take these remote viewing methods and apply them to different stuff. So I mean, I'll use it for shadow work for like, okay, I'm having a bad day. I'm having a problem here. Like, how do I fix this? Do a little ideogram, just start writing whatever
Mhm.
comes through,
Yeah.
and initiate that conversation with my own subconscious. And at the end of the day, that's all remote viewing really is. It's you're connecting with your own subconscious, which is much more powerful than I think most people realize.
Mhm.
And you're cueing your subconscious with your intention to go out and find information for you in that greater field of reality and bring it back to you. So and the subconscious speaks to you in symbols, so you gotta learn how to parse those symbols and break them down. And that's all part of practice. It's much like music. Remote viewing is very similar in that regard of practice makes perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. I have a question for you. All right,
Yeah,
question.
for sure.
What do you believe that we can do right now to alter conversations about seeing the unseen as being just as real as what we do see with with our eyes? So
That's a
you
yeah,
know
that's a
exactly
great
what I'm
question.
talking about. Okay, like what can we do to alter these conversations that this unseen world is real?
Well, I think one of the ways that worked for me was the scientific approach, like
Mm,
seeing these scientists take it seriously, um, was something that allowed me to take it seriously. It gave me that permission almost to be like, oh, scientists are studying this stuff. Well, I guess it's okay for me to take a look then. And
mm,
and I think that's one thing, kind of it helps to dismiss or dispel some of the more, and I love the woo woo stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I think generally speaking, it's important that we try and move forward with looking into the science behind all this. And there's tons of great progress being made all kinds of places, like Instituted Noetic Sciences and Heart Math, and there's a whole bunch of others I'm sure too that I'm not grabbing right now. But I really do think that trying to merge science and spirituality is an important thing that we need to do as a species to move forward.
mm,
Because I mean, people have been experiencing this stuff for thousands of years. This isn't anything new. It's just the way we treat it in modern society, I think, is unfair. We've kind of we had the scientific revolution back in the 1800s or whatever, and we sort of threw the baby out with the bathwater, I think, and we're overdue for a flip, to bring it back the other way and swing that pendulum back the other way, and start looking at these, this ancient wisdom and teachings, with the eyes of everything we have gained from science. So I'm not saying throw out science either. I think
mm,
I think there is a really easy way to merge the two, and that easy way to do it is to ditch the mumbo jumbo and just internalize this stuff and get curious and creative, and be like kids, just explore these topics and have fun with them. And what I always tell people who are skeptical about remote viewing in particular is, go try it, give it a try. you know most of them never get back to me, but the ones that do are like, oh wow, that's crazy, like it actually worked.
mm,
So um, now that being said, it is something you need a bit of bravery to do, because there's when you dig into your subconscious, if that's not something that you're used to doing, you can stir up some stuff that's buried in there, right? As I'm sure you know well. So you got to have that bravery to move forward. I think some people are just, they're stuck in that old reality box, and they can't get out of it for whatever reason. Fear, I would say, likely. But if you can get past that fear and give this stuff a fair shake, um, I think you're going to learn some really cool stuff and have a good time.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And we've also got, just FYI, we also have scientists from the Institute of Noetic Sciences and from
Nice.
Monroe on the summit also.
Monroe, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know
we
how I
have
forgot about them.
we have our researchers on this summit also. So you're going to get the whole science combined with remote viewing and other things too. But you said something very important, and that this is something that I also believe. It's just my personal belief. We have to have fun with this. So
Yeah.
yeah, as we're altering the conversations, rather than looking at all of this, I'm going to get on my little soapbox, rather than looking at all of this from a point of being afraid and the unknown and that it's unholy or that it's all of these things, actually it's something that is already within us and that we're all tapped into this consciousness. We just need
Hmm.
to wake up to it. And that is why I believe it's really important for us all to start changing the views and the language around this realm that we're in and that we work in. And that, yeah. What do you say to that? What do you think?
I agree 100%. I mean, my own theory on why all this works is that fundamentally speaking, I think it was Schrodinger who said that the total number of consciousnesses in the universe is one. So I think everything is really made of consciousness at some kind of fundamental level. And because of that, because we're all made of that same stuff, of the stardust or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
um, we're able to connect to anything else in existence because of that fact that we are, you know, at at a fundamental level all connected. And not just people, I mean like animals and
Yes,
trees and
yes,
my
yes.
desk here and that light over there and the rocks outside, like all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of the fundamental thing that we're all kind of barreling towards here right now with all of this.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Is there anything that you would like to share with our viewers and our listeners about, where they can reach you, anything that they may need to know that will help them on their journey, and even something that you're offering them to get them started, anything that you got going over here?
Yeah, yeah. So over on rockstarintuition.com, I've that's my website. I've got a an hour-long free course that you can try
Oh,
out.
nice.
Teaches you the basics of stage one and two of remote viewing. I think I've got some binaural beats in there for everyone to kind of meditate with, and then I run you through sort of a basic session, and you're blind to the target, and then after I think I give you 5 minutes or 10 minutes maybe to do the meditation, and I guide you through the process and say, okay, do your ideogram, what are you sensing at the target, and so on. And then we reveal the target and you can compare. And so it's actually a taping of a live class I did, so you get to see some of the other students and what their results were and stuff like that too.
Awesome.
So it's a good way to get your feet wet, and
Yeah.
then if you dig it, you can grab the full course and dive in with me.
No.
I do live office hours uh, every other Tuesday night as well. So those are always kind of fun calls where people can share their sessions that they've done, and we can talk about what one thing I really love doing is looking at other people's remote viewing data and saying, oh, okay, you know what? I think you got this piece of data that you didn't think was anything. I think it actually does mean something, because when
Yeah.
you start looking at it, things jump out at you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's always a lot of fun to get together with students and just kind of jam. So yeah, I'd love to meet the folks who are here at the summit checking this out and do some cool remote viewing stuff with you. So please reach
Absolutely.
out. And then
Absolutely.
on the music side, you can find me through my band, Glacial Erratic. It's a fun time. It's a comedy funk rock band, and our mission is just as a band is to just go out and raise vibes and
Yeah.
make people feel good and happy and dance and have a good time, and that's
Um,
literally our only goal with the project.
Yeah, that is beautiful, Josh. And that's what we know needs to happen on the planet. We know this from a conscious level. We've got to raise the frequency. We've
For
got,
sure.
yeah. I want to thank you for being here. Is there anything that you want to share? Any parting words of wisdom? Anything that like you just need to say coming up for you?
Stay curious, stay creative, and don't be afraid to explore.
Yeah, yeah. Explore these frontiers, right? Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to thank you for being here with us today, Josh. It's been fun. Please check out his courses, his work, and his music. All right, Josh, thank you.
Thank you.